How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping out another video. Right, guys, this is a story on the Daily Mirror website. Now, for a lot of people that have never experienced prison, they'll find this story shocking. As someone that's been in prison myself, doesn't shock me in any which way. It's 2019, guys, right? And we've got decrepit, dilapidated, run-down Victorian prisons full of abject squalor that are more reminiscent of a Dickensian England novel. It's like something out of a bloody Pied Piper with all these bloody rats. But enough about the screws, guys. Let's get into the story. Right, so the headline reads, "Inmates at filthy and decrepit jail caught and killed rats in his cell." The government's report on HMP Bedford said the jail is filthy and decrepit with dangerous shortcomings. A prisoner at a filthy, decrepit jail caught and killed rats in his cell during an inspection, according to a scathing report. HMP Bedford has been described as appalling with dangerous shortcomings. The Chief Inspector of Prisons found a 2-year attempt to improve the jail has had little impact. Now the sheer scale of violence and squalor and lack of control is set out in a report on the unannounced inspection in August and September of 2018, which was published on Tuesday. Peter Clark, who's the Chief Inspector of Prisons, found no credible plans by the prison or Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service to address the prison's dangerous shortcomings. His damning report states one segregated prisoner caught and killed a number of rats in his cell during the inspection. Not one, a number of rats. The huge rat infestation has plagued HMP Bedford for years. Hold on. One notice on the door said, "Please ensure doors remain shut to prevent rats entering the wing." Only one comparable local prison, which is HMP Birmingham, had a higher overall rates of violence, and the Bedford had the highest rates of assaults on staff, which were a daily occurrence. Many prisoners felt unsafe, including 49% on their first night. The report also said self-harm had increased substantially, and there have been 5 self-inflicted deaths since the last inspection in 2016. Almost half of prisoners surveyed said it was easy to get illicit drugs, and a fifth said that they had developed a drug problem while in prison. A fifth of prisoners, guys, said they developed a drug problem whilst in jail. So from no drugs at all to developing a drug problem. The smell of cannabis and other burning substances pervaded on some wings, with one officer said, "If it's just cannabis, it's a good day." One amputee was in a cell with no adaptations, with a wheelchair which could not be user-propelled, and told inspectors that he'd only had 5 showers so far in 2018. This report was in August and September. He'd only had 5 showers in 2018, up to the point of the August and September inspection. The facility for adult males inmates was hit by a major disturbance, which reportedly cost £1 million of damage in November of 2016. Mr. Clark said, "This inspection found the prisoners continued on a seemingly inexorable decline that is evident throughout the results of the 4 inspections carried out since 2009. It is used to have a reputation as a good local prison, and the collapse in standards is as sad as it is inexcusable." Michael Spurr, is the Chief Executive of the Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service, said, "Bedford has faced significant challenges since 2016 riot, and we know that its performance was not acceptable. That's why we've already reduced prisoner numbers, set out an improvement plan, and provided extra external support. We have not ignored previous recommendations," well, obviously they have, "but pressures on the prison meant that progress had been difficult. Since the inspection, we've reduced prison numbers further, improved cleanliness and strengthened the management team to provide greater support to staff, who the Chief Inspector acknowledges were committed but inexperienced. We've also appointed a new, more experienced governor to spearhead this work and accelerate improvements." Prisons Minister Rory Stewart said, "I take the Inspectorate's findings very seriously. I visited Bedford Prison last week to follow up on the recommendations in the report. I'm glad to say there has been significant progress to Bedford to make it safer and more decent, but we have a lot more to do. Increased security is in place to help reduce drug use and violence in turn, and experienced staff are now being better supported and given extra training to ensure the prison runs effectively. We have appointed a highly experienced and effective new governor, and I am confident that he and his senior management and the excellent prison officers will ensure that the prison's turnaround will continue. Bedford was assessed as poor in the areas of safety, respect, purposeful activity, and not sufficiently good in rehabilitation and release planning. Now, just guys, right? Just to clarify something, right? The chief executive of Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service, Michael Spurr, who, on top of getting like 150 grand a year, 130 grand a year, 140 grand a year, whatever it is, has been pocketing £20,000 a year bonuses for the past couple of years. Now, if you look at what's gone on in prisons forever, but namely in the last couple of years, where it's actually become prisons have gone from being butlins with bars in the media's headlines to actually, hold on, there's a serious problem with our prisons, right? He's been getting bonuses of £20,000 a year while prisoners have been dying, suffering and leaving prison in body bags on his watch. He's actually been removed from post, guys. He was quite happy to carry on sitting there doing sweet FA and getting whacking wages. But they've actually removed him from post. He's actually been forced from post. I think he's leaving in April or May of this year. They're looking for his successor at the moment. Good riddance to bad rubbish. He's been at the helm for about 30 odd years, this guy. And if you look back 30 odd years ago, Strangeways riots, do you know what I'm saying? So it's just absolutely crazy, guys. Like I say, the HMIP guys, these people are truthful and they tell it how it is. They've got no agenda. They do it by the way. If the prison's doing well, they'll say it's doing well. But you tell me the last time you saw an inspector, Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons report that was glowing for a prison. You can't find it because it doesn't exist. So when they go into the prisons, guys, right, HMIP or the Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons, they grade on 4 things right now. The areas that they grade are safety, respect, purposeful activity, and rehabilitation and release planning, right? So yeah, hold on, is that so 1, 2, 3, well 5 things, but they put rehabilitation and release planning together. Now guys, right, you can't house prisoners in squalid conditions like this. In the SEG, right, in the SEG, this prisoner's killed number of rats, you know what I mean? And we're not talking about prison officers, guys, just for those that refer to prison officers as rats, just letting you know that. But yeah, you can't house prisoners in squalid conditions, right? Because if you house a prisoner with little or no purposeful activity, no respect, no rehabilitation plan, no release plan, and just kick them out the door with £46, having housed them in them conditions with other mentally ill prisoners or undiagnosed mentally ill prisoners, or a fifth of prisoners have picked up an addiction whilst in that prison, you don't get to brutalise prisoners, which, to be honest, doesn't aid rehabilitation, because rehabilitation is a made-up word, nor does it act as a deterrent. All that simply does is desensitise, demoralise, dehumanise, and make that prisoner even more disenfranchised than when they entered. You don't get to brutalise prisoners and dehumanise them and then kick them out the door with £46 and expect them to become law-abiding citizens. You just simply can't. By treating prisoners in this way, it actually creates monsters, guys. And this is where it angers me and it frustrates me, because these people like Rory Stewart, the prisons minister, right? He's saying the right sort of things and everything, and he's got half an idea, and I've got to be honest, he's implementing certain things that I respect. I was pissed off when he introduced Parva spray because he gave into the Prison Officers Association. The Prison Officers Association, as you guys know, walked out last year carrying out banned industrial action, strike action if you will, because the record levels of violence in our prisons. Now, what you need to look at is a contributing factor, not the main factor, but a contributing factor to the record levels of assaults and the record levels of assaults in our prisons from prisoner to prisoner and prisoner on prison officer stems from the fact that the Prison Officers Association, or the POA, they lobbied for the smoking ban, even going as far as threatening a judicial review of Her Majesty's Prison Service and the Ministry of Justice if the smoking ban wasn't implemented quicker. By taking burn from prisoners, it's like poking a sleeping dog. Prison officers get to poke the dog with a stick by we're taking your burn, we're taking your burn, we're taking your burn. When the prisoner bites back and kicks off, because like I say, tobacco is a stress relief, it's also been used as currency for decades, probably centuries. You antagonise them, they bite, and then the prison officers go, oh, look, violent inmate, we're not having this, too much violence in this prison for me. And they carry out banned industrial action, guys. Another reason that they've contributed to record levels of violence in prison, and again, it's down to the smoking ban, is by banning something, by banning tobacco, it doesn't just disappear, guys. It doesn't vanish and poof, where's it gone, right? All it does really, it gets pushed underground. By going underground, it becomes contraband. By becoming contraband, the price goes up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times what it is on the out or what it used to be on the canteen. That incurs debt. Where you've got debt, you've got fear, intimidation, bullying, and violence. And like I say, you've got to look at, this is the thing. So they then carry out banned industrial action, only going back to work when the prisons minister and the Justice Secretary David Gork arranged to sit down with them. They sat down with them. They thrashed out a pay rise for prison officers. I think it was like 3.7%. They also wanted Parva spray, which the Nationals had previously had. For those that don't know, the Nationals, or the National Tactical Response Group, are specially trained riot officers that go into prisons to seize back wings or whole prisons in a riot situation. They'd had Parva spray previously. He wanted it for all prisoners in the public sector prisons. It was piloted in 4 prisons. I think Preston, Hindley, Wealdstone and Humber. I did an interview with the Prison Officers Association National Chair. He said that the Parva spray was working, it was quelling violence. I just said, you're clueless, and it's not. It's going to increase violence. And the Freedom of Information request proved that violence, it didn't quell violence, and violence continued to increase. But like I say, guys, when you look at conditions and stuff like that, you've got to look at why prisoners riot and why prisoners kick off. Because treatment, conditions, you treat somebody like an animal. Don't be surprised when they act like an animal. Now, like I say, if you see a prisoner that, like Stuart Horner ended up on the roof of Strangeways, right? Prisoners in, I think it was Exeter or was it Dartmoor, ended up on the roof, right? At Portland prison as well. There was a prison protest on the roof there. The prisoners don't get on the roof for no reason. They got on the roof so they could literally scream from the rooftops, literally, to get the story out about treatment, conditions, what's going on within the prison. Because the prison likes to keep a lid on stories. If I say that I'm a prisoner, right, or I'm a mate of a prisoner, which, like I say, I'm friends of prisoners as a former prisoner, and I go to a journalist now and say, oh, this is happening within inside the prison. The journalist has got to contact the prison or the MOJ. The MOJ will then deny it. We do not discuss individual cases. Why do they do that? Because it stops the story getting out. Right? This is how it works, guys. Another reason what they do as well with the MOJ is, say that there's a story, right, and it's like they're trying to get an investigation into something that's gone on within the prison, right? These things called FOIs, Freedom of Information Requests, right? It's supposed to be there to gain clarity on the subject. It doesn't have to be prison, it can be anything. You can apply for Freedom of Information requests left, right and centre. Journalists can apply for them and stuff like that. And I think even normal people can apply for them pretty much. Anyway, there'll be a hot topic, right, and they know something's gone on. And they put the FOIs in to try and get more information. And do you know what the prison do? They reject them. And then what they do, they reject them, and then the journalist will go back to them, and they'll wait weeks and weeks and weeks so that the story, it goes from bubbling to just fizzling out, right? And then they'll come back and say, oh, can you just, sorry for not getting back to you, we've been busy. Can you just clarify what you're after again? Wait another 2 weeks, the story's dead and buried, then it's a non-runner. They call it a non-runner. And then it just goes off the boil, and then they don't push for the Freedom of Information request because they're like, well, the story's gone cold now. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, guys, but like I say, this isn't indicative of one prison. This is indicative of all prisons. It's happening up and down the prison system. Like I say, some prisons are new builds, like Berwyn, for example, but Berwyn has got other problems massively. That prison is, the stories that I'm hearing from inside that prison are absolutely ridiculous. You look at Liverpool, cockroaches, mice, Strangeways, cockroaches and mice, and rats, mice and cockroaches there. Same at Liverpool. It's documented, guys, you know what I mean? And Bedford. And like I say, you can't house prisoners in squalid conditions with little or no purposeful activity, right? And then kick them out the door with £46, right? With a habit, because a fifth of prisoners have picked up a habit whilst in prison, which is just ridiculous. Kick them out with £46 after dehumanising them, desensitising them, demoralising them, and making them even more disenfranchised. Disenfranchised means that they feel like they've not got a stake in society. By being in prison in them conditions, it makes that problem worse. You make more criminal connections in prison. You might have lost your accommodation because you're on a long stretch or a short stretch. You get kicked out with £46. Not every prisoner gets put in a bail hostel or a halfway house. You're kicked out with £46. You end up on the gutter. You might have picked up a drug habit, and say you've been kicked out with a drug habit, right? After being housed in HMP Bedford, let's use that as an example, right? You're kicked out with £46. You've got no friends, no family, no support network, and you've got a drug habit. You go spend your money on drugs. You fall into the gutter. You start sleeping on the streets. You knock around with other homeless people. They then start to take drugs. You pick up other drugs and and then you spiral. Then you've got to feed that habit. You've got to commit crime. Why have you got to commit crime? To feed that habit. Another prisoner, let's kick another prisoner out with £46. He's got no support network. He's got nowhere to go. He's lost his accommodation. He's been on a long stretch or a short stretch. He doesn't take drugs. He's kicked out with £46. He spends £46 sparingly. Might go pound bakery, get a sandwich and a drink or something. That's going to eventually run out. He's sleeping in shop doorways. He's trying to get his head down on park benches or whatever the case may be. When that money runs out, he's got to feed himself. So he's got to commit crime, shoplift and such to feed himself, not to feed a habit, to feed himself. You've got to have food to live, to exist, and you've got to have drink or water to exist, to live. If you don't, you're going to die, aren't you? Do you know what I'm saying? That's the reality. You're going to starve to death. So these people then reoffend, get caught, eventually get caught. They might do it 50 more times and get caught and then go back to prison. This is the reality, guys. The system's as broken as those entering it. Now, you can't house prisoners in these conditions and expect prisoners by dehumanising them, then kick them out the door with £46 and go on, fuck off, on your own, go and see probation once a week, blah, 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 and expect that person to become a law-abiding, productive member of society. It's not going to work, is it? No, it's not. Now, like I say, when I was in Strangeways, the windows we used to stand on the heating pads. And like, if you've not got a grill over your window, not all of them have. There's a lot that haven't, and they push out. You can actually open the window out. And we used to put like, if I'd had some food and it was shit, right? Sometimes you don't want to. In Strangeways, for those that don't know, you eat in your cell. Now, what a lot of prisoners do, and it kind of attracts, like say, vermin and stuff like that, is some prisoners will throw the food out the window. We used to put I used to rip like bread up and I put it on the windowsill. The pigeons would come on, fly on. But what I did, I fucked up once. I put me little carton of milk on the window because it was that time of year where it's coming towards winter. I've got it on the outside, right, to keep it cold. Anyone that's been in prison, you know, you use your window. If you haven't got a grill on your window, you put your thingy out the window, and put it on the thing so you get it cold. So when you have it on your cereal, it's nice and cold. Well, I put my milk on there, and my pads mate milk was on there. We put fucking bread on the thing, didn't we? And the fucking pigeons knocked my milk over. I was fuming. I had to eat my cereal dry, man. Yeah, I've seen Chinese kids. Yeah, there's a Chinese kid, and I walked in his pad. Right, we got unlocked for Soch. He's got 2 pigeons under his fucking bed. Killed 2 pigeons, stabbed them up, blood all over his knife and all that. Stabbed 2 pigeons. The pigeons landed. He waited, gripped one of them, stabbed it up, right, and then he got another one, stabbed that up, and the pigeons were dead under his bed. And he said, "I'm going to eat that." He said, I'm going to do something with me. He was going to cook in his kettle with a pigeon breast and all that. He's going to thing it, wash it all off. Goes on, guys. It's survival of the fittest. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, sounds mad, that, don't it? Someone stabbing up pigeons, but it goes on, man. This other kid in the seg at HMP Bedford killed rats and stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable, guys. Like I say, you've got to remember, guys. Look at the year we are in 2019 in one of the most developed countries in the world. I think are we the 5th most developed country in the world or something? Like, it's absolutely it's absolutely like just mental, guys, that we're in 2019 and you've got prisoners sharing their living areas with rats, mice, cockroaches. Cockroaches are the most like, they can survive anything. Nuclear blast. If a nuclear blast happened, everything would get wiped out apart from cockroaches. They'd still be alive. I've seen dead ones in HMP Liverpool, like pictures of dead ones in HMP Liverpool. I've never been in Liverpool, but I've seen dead ones in pictures in the reports, the HMIP and stuff. So a cockroach can survive a nuclear blast, but can't survive prison. What does that tell you about prison, guys? Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I've rambled on for another 19.5 minutes. You'll need an ibuprofen and a lie down in a dark room. Leave it there, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Link in the description. Cody out.